One of the gifts of COVID-19, if I can call it that, is plenty of time to think. We've had too much time to think. And many of us who've been spending our lives building communities of Yeshua's disciples have been thinking about how we're going to get the job done after we come out of quarantine, God willing. It's a good question. In order to decide how we're going to get the job done, we need to have a bead on what the job is. It's not really about swimming. We're not just trying to stay afloat. We're trying to get a job done. So what are Yeshua's people supposed to be doing in the world which he created according to his will? It's a good question. We've been looking at it for a number of weeks, and we're going to look at a final session of this question right now together. What are Yeshua's people supposed to be doing in the world? So let's look at this and do a little summary of what we've been looking at up until now. We're supposed to be developing outposts of the kingdom. Our communities are supposed to be a foretaste of the age to come. We're experiencing a foretaste of the age to come. We're not experiencing the whole Megillah, but we're experiencing part of it, and we're supposed to share that with others and help them to become citizens of that kingdom which has no end. We're supposed to be doing this through Be'erot, what we call Be'erot, face-to-face gatherings of the Father's family. In a Christian context, those are known as home churches or house churches. And in the Jewish context, we call them chavarot. We're supposed to be developing these face-to-face communities because, as I never tire of saying, everybody wants to go where everybody knows your name. And we need face-to-face communities because growing in relationship with God requires us to grow in relationship with people. And to grow in relationship with people, we need to have face-to-face encounter. And that's what these home groups are about. They're manifest extended families. That's what they are. We're supposed to mature in the family likeness, loving the Lord our God with all our heart, soul, and mind, loving our neighbor as ourselves, and loving each other as Messiah loved us. That's the family likeness. We're supposed to be people who demonstrate the obedience of faith for the sake of his name. We saw last time that this obedience of faith looks a little different in a Jewish context than in a Gentile context, but the issue is the same. We're supposed to be demonstrating the obedience of faith for the sake of his name. And finally, let's look at number 5 and number 6 here. We're supposed to be expressing and expanding the kingdom. God forbid that what we should do is be a group that suffers from koinonitis. Koinonitis is a term developed by C. Peter Wagner of blessed memory, who said that this is fellowship for fellowship's sake. People who form fellowship groups that just exist to exist. No. We exist to express the nature of the kingdom and to expand it. So that's part of what it means, what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be expressing the nature of the kingdom. We're supposed to be expanding that kingdom. And finally, over here, number 6, we're supposed to be multiplying other Be'erot, other home churches or chavorot. This is part of the genius of the first centuries of Yeshua faith. It's not a question of addition but multiplication. Many times we think that growth is that we want to have a big congregation, a bigger congregation, a still bigger congregation, or maybe the biggest congregation. But here's the problem. The bigger your congregation gets, the better you get at not doing the job. Because the more people you have, the greater percentage of people are just spectators. And people do not grow spiritually from being spectators. They grow spiritually from being members of the family who learn about their responsibilities and who learn to exercise them within the context of their gifts. So we grow by multiplication by starting other small groups like ours, other home fellowships, Be'erot. We grow by multiplication. I've given you a lot to think about, and I have a lot more to tell you. But I have respect for you, because you want to get the job done. But the job is not just to get bigger. The job is to finish the work that Yeshua gave us to do. And this is a brief description of what that is. We'll have a lot more to say, coming up soon. Meanwhile, let me wish you shalom from Interfaithfulness, where we are building bridges, where history builds walls. Shalom for now.